Also YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you the winner of our poll, and that is of course an update to Ice Barrier. Now a lot of people in the comments actually wanted to see Ice Barrier with Runick, so I thought I'd bring you exactly what you wanted. I'm also going to show you the stack of cards as well that you take out for the Runick cards. It really just comes down to the ability of being able to play more hand traps, because the Runicks are going to cover that ability for you, or that area for you, and then on top of that you're going to get incredible draw power and disruption. So it works out really nicely, and the balance between the two just gives you that ability to draw into the Ice Barriers, or the Ice Barriers draw into the Runicks, and then the Runicks allow you to set up defense, protection, interruptions, you name it, you're going to be able to get it alongside your Ice Barrier synchro monsters, or just your synchro monsters in general, and it kind of gives you a very nice all-round board. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. Diving headfirst into profile, we're going to start off with the Ice Barrier monsters themselves. So no matter what version you are playing, you're going to want to be playing Triple Revealer. Now thankfully this has just had a reprint in the most recent Rarity Collection, so technically Rarity Collection 3, but it's officially called Bonanza, alongside Swap Frog. Now Swap Frog is going to be something you're going to be looking more so to using in the pure version rather than in the hybrid version, because that's when you're going to want to rely on it a little bit more. It gives you more access to Totally Awesome, which provides you with the protection, whereas the Runicks just give you that ability to keep on playing. Then of course we are playing Triple Mirror Mage of the Ice Barrier, so this is one of the more recent Ice Barrier cards. Absolutely insane. This is one that spawns you tokens, gives you the ability to draw more. It's one of the ones that you don't really want to be seeing in your hand, you want to be sending it off, but it gives you that ability to tribute another water, special summon out the tokens, and then that's when you're going to be using a synchro fodder and everything else in between. We've then got two Yugiohs. Now obviously with the Yugiohs, this is obviously another one of the new ones, but because we're not leaning into the Ice Barriers as much, and there might be some times where you don't want to see this in your hand, you want to search it out throughout your plays, it's why we've kind of allowed to cut this down to two. And then of course we do play two Speaker and two Hexer. Now obviously again, like I said, in the pure version, you're actually going to want to be playing 3 of the Speaker. You'll play 3 of the Yugiohs as well, because you want to be adding into your consistency. And the cards that you're really going to be taking out, as I'll just quickly show you here, is I personally play Deep Sea Minstrel in my pure version. I just like that ability to look at my opponent's hand and then play around certain hand traps. But then on top of that as well, you'll be taking out the Swap Frog engine, you take out the Ice Jade engine as well. It's something you could main deck if you still wanted to in the Runick version, and then some of the extra deck cards that you swap out on top of that. Then the last of the Ice Barrier monsters, I am playing the one General Wayne, and we are playing the one General Raiho. Now the reason I've kept the Raiho in there is it is a very nice kind of, it's not the best, it doesn't need to be utilised, but it's one of the ones that when your opponent's monster effect activates on the field, they have to discard a card as well. So you're basically being able to take away their hand advantage or negate them. Now if you want to, a main deck a Floodgate more stronger than this, something like Synchro Zone, you can do. This is just a really easy flex spot. I just wanted to make sure that I still had that Floodgate-esque Ice Barrier card that you're able to get out of the deck very easily, off the back with stuff like Lancia as well. So something to keep in mind, is not an absolute mainstay staple. The only one you want to make sure you don't play, and I'm pretty sure this is the one that I dropped on the floor earlier, is, yeah, there we go. So the one you don't want to be playing is the Warlock, because Warlock makes both players set spells and traps, so it's like an anti-spell. In the pure version, absolutely fine, but in the Runick version, you definitely don't want to be doing that. And then carrying on with the rest of the Ice Barrier cards, we are playing Triple Medallion. So obviously this lets you search any Ice Barriers. So everything I've shown you prior to this that is Ice Barrier, you basically add 3 copies of it, because this isn't a hard once per turn. You have crazy amounts of ways to search it. I'm still also playing the one Freezing Chains and the one Winds over the Ice Barriers. Again, still maintaining that essence of Ice Barriers. You can very easily take these out. So this one is when it's activated, you get to target a level 4 or lower Ice Barrier in your graveyard and special summon it. And then this one, it lets you tribute any number of Ice Barrier monsters to special summon from the deck that many level 4 or lower Ice Barriers. So it's just ways that if you do not open up Ideal, you can get any of your Ice Barriers on the board, tribute them off, and then get to something like a Revealer. Keep in mind as well, what works nicely is the Runicks will help you draw into these cards, so that's where the consistency comes into play when you're not needing to max out on all the copies of it. And then the Ice Barriers give you that ability to draw off of the back of the Draw 4 combo, which utilises the Crocosaur and the Coral Dragon in order to get you into your Runick. So you just have so much bridge between the two, it's pretty cool. And then moving into the Runicks, of course, we're playing Terraforming with the 2 Fountains. Now, my Runicks are actually bouncing around different decks right now, which is why they're in green sleeves, so I do apologise for that. But it just kind of gives you the idea of what you're looking at. Then pretty standard on the Runicks, there's nothing special on this one. Triple Tip, Triple Slumber, Triple Flash and Fire, Triple Curses, triple destruction, and then of course the one dispelling. So you can pretty much see that it's an exact same lineup on Runick. So I can't imagine these are going to be any different. They take up like 19 slots, 20 if you include the terraforming, so it is a fairly decent balanced lineup. But what your Runics are giving you the capability for is it means you don't run into triple tactic talents as easily. It gives you more kind of interaction with spell cards, and then it adds you that draw capability as well. For the last cards that I'm playing to make this a 45 card deck, I am playing with triple Forbidden Droplet and triple Dominus Impulse. Now, Impulse can actually very easily become Imperm. It is entirely up to you whether you play this card. It's entirely up to you whether you have access to the card. Now, yes, it does shut off your Runick extra deck monsters, mainly your Hugin, but it's one of the ones that you kind of want to use Hugin first, and then you sit on an Impulse. And it's one of the ones that if you draw during your opponent's turn, adding an Impulse to your hand can be insanely powerful, which works out really nicely. You can either take these out and go down to a 42 card deck, or you can take them out, you can go for a more control element of synchro zones for going first, you can go for evenly matches if you're going second. You do have that capability that you're already going to be skipping your battle phase anyway, so being able to play something like an evenly match is absolutely fine. And then you control the board with your Runics and your Ice Barriers, and then you use Ice Barriers as your aggressors to finish the duel off once you get out of your battle phase lock. So you've got the benefit of both, which is kind of where the synergy comes between the Runics and the Ice Barriers. So it's definitely something to keep in mind. It also gives you that ability that if your opponent shotguns something like a D-Shifter early doors, you can switch and just focus on one type of the deck. Like you either go down the Ice Barrier route or you go down the Runic route. Obviously one will be better than the other. And on top of that as well, if they drop the Fluoros and they drop stuff like the original Mole Chummy, again, you have ways to adapt. So it's like, okay, well, if I don't want to play into that, rather than just ending my board on a suboptimal board that my opponent can break, you can still control them with the Runics, or of course you can go all out in the Ice Barriers and then go from there. So moving on to the extra deck, of course, we're playing the one Lancia and then the two Trishes. These are obviously your mainstay boss monsters and the mainstay monsters you're going to want to get off the back of your Lancia. I still quite like playing the Dragite. It's a little bit more difficult to make in this build, but keeping in mind that Hugin is a level 2 and this is just generic 8. It just needs you to have a water in the graveyard to be effective, and it's quite nice to get that additional spell and trap negate on the board, as the one thing that the Runics don't really have is they don't really have spell and trap negation. They've got monster negation, they've got monster destruction or special summon destruction, they've got negation, so what you kind of want is you want that spell and trap negate, which means, yes, of course, you already have destruction protection with Hugin, but you also want that ability to protect from stuff like Cosmic, because Cosmic is definitely something that's going to be coming into most people's side decks, if not the odd main deck. Then, of course, you've got the Ice Barrier draw engine of Coral and the Crocosaur. And then, of course, we play the one-eyed Jade Gimir alongside the Sword Soul Sovereign. I just like the aggression of both of these, especially this with Runics, because being able to make this, and then Runics are always going to make your opponent banish stuff unless you're choosing to summon. And then when doing so, your Chen Yin can then trigger and go, right, cool, get rid of that in the graveyard, get rid of that on the board. Really nice aggressive monster. The only link monster we play is the Coral Anomine. Now, of course, you can take this out and go for an SP Little Knight if you have access to it. Again, a lot more cheaper thanks to the reprints in the brand new Rarity Collection. So it's entirely up to you on what you want to go for. Toad and Shark. And then, of course, for the Runics, we're playing the one Jerry, the one Munin, and two Hugin. I don't own a third Hugin. You could very easily play a third Hugin, which is why I'm only going with a 2 and a 1 and a 1, which is kind of gives me the space to play the Ice Jade or play a little bit more flexibility depending on what you have access to and what you like. But you can very easily sub out a Dragite if you want to. I personally think it's a really kind of cool card to have, as I feel when you work your way through your plays, you're able to protect from Nibiru a little bit, and it also comes down to the local environment as to whether or not they're playing Nibiru or not, because I feel that a lot of the main meta decks right now can just play around Nibiru or through Nibiru relatively easily. So that's pretty much it for the list. And before anyone asks where I got the Tanjiro Water Dragon sleeves, you get them from Imperial Duelist. They actually do fire ones and lightning ones as well. So these were given to me as a present from a friend. But this is where you're able to pick them up, because I know I'll get that question in the comments. So if you've watched until the end, you'll find out exactly where you need to get them from. So that is pretty much it for the Ice Barrier build. Now, when it comes down to the pure Ice Barrier build itself, not a huge amount really changes, if I'm being completely honest with you. Like, the lineup relatively stays the same. You take away all of the Runics, you swap the Runics for hand traps, you start adding in Imperms and Ashes. If you do have access to Fluoros, you can add Fluoros in, but that's probably going to be more of a side deck option. And then you, like I said, you already mentioned the Floodgate card. You can choose between Warlock and some of the others. You'd increase your consistency of Speaker, and then it really does come down to you whether you like to play Deep Sea Minstrel or not. I personally quite like it when I'm not discarding the cards off of the back of the Runics, because obviously when you're trying to go through Hugin to get to it, you have to discard an additional card. I feel that we're already set up to discard cards anyway, so I'll go with the Minstrel, and the Minstrel gives me the ability to look at my opponent's hand and I'm like, right, okay, I only banish it to the end phase, but if I see a Nibiru, I go, right, get rid of that, I don't need to worry about it. If I see a hand trap that's going to stop my combos, I see it, I get rid of it. If I see Droll, get rid of it. So you've just got more ways of playing around it. And then, of course, the Swap Frogs come in, which are going to be even cheaper now thanks to the Rarity Collection free, that you'll be able to pick them up as well. Anyway, hope this has given you everything you need to know. If you do have any questions, by all means, please put in the comments down below. I will be more than happy to answer them. For now, as absolutely always, stay safe and, of course, happy dueling.